Hello and welcome to this edition of Bulls on Parade Talk. I'm your host, Joshua Sines. And my apologies first for taking so long to put up a new video. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of organizing around. This is a new space I have for recording for those that are watching this. For those that are watching this video on YouTube, and you can still access my podcast on TalkShoe.com. The link will be in the description. But anyway, after finally organizing some things around here, room-wise, I could finally get this video across from you. And I thought I'd start off by basically discussing something that was Sports Center. Now, I don't watch a lot of ESPN, particularly the sports media shows that they put like First Take and Numbers Never Lie and such like that. But I do watch occasional Sports Center to see what some analysts like to say. And today, Mel Kiper Jr. released his first mock draft. And surprise, surprise, I never thought I would see this coming. I never thought I would see this coming, especially considering what he said about him, what he said on record before college football started this past season. He basically said Johnny Manziel #1 overall to the Texans. Now, to me, that just made me throw up. I would not take. I'm already on record. I would not take Johnny Manziel #1 overall by the Texans. I will seriously go on here the next day, and I will have a lot to say if that ends up happening. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm already on record saying that, but I'm going to keep saying it because the longer I keep hearing this, the more sick it makes me. So, speaking of quarterbacks, though, I did read an article about Bill O'Brien, the new head coach for the Houston Texans, discussing the potential prospects. And I'm going to pull it up really quick right in front of I have it right in front of me. And, Bill O'Brien, he was on Sports Radio 610 on Monday morning. He joined Nick Wright and John Lopez. Talked about 3 of the top quarterback prospects. One of them, he talked about Blake Bortles. He said, quote, I was able to see Blake Bortles up close because we played Central Florida at Penn State and they beat us. He was a smart player, an accurate passer, a guy that could do a lot of different things. You could tell he was really a student of the game. He's a good football player. So that's what he said about Blake Bortles. He went on, the second quarterback he talked about was Teddy Bridgewater. He says right here, quote, I haven't watched Teddy Bridgewater much at all. I've been in the process of evaluating our team here, but I have seen him on TV. Again, an exciting player, a guy that did a great job for Louisville, and a guy I can tell is a good football player. And thirdly, he talked about Johnny Manziel. He said Johnny Manziel, again, the same thing with Teddy. I haven't watched a lot of Johnny other than on TV. I've watched his games on TV at times, maybe 2 or 3 games over the years that he's played. Obviously a very exciting player, a guy that's a playmaker, a guy that does a lot of great things on the field. And the article goes on basically just elaborating furthermore about the offense that we might be seeing next season. He mentioned the fact that the offense has seen many different types of quarterbacks. I mean, heck, he was an offensive coordinator for Tom Brady. And at this point, we're still evaluating. And it's still January. It's still early. I understand that. It's still early, and it's an early projection. We have yet to see what happens at the combine, at pro days, at practices. So all that we'll see. Real briefly, I just want to point out that the one thing that concerns me about Johnny Manziel is his reckless play. He's a playmaker. I've watched him on Saturdays. No, I am not denying any of the fact that he is indeed a dynamic player. But college and pro are 2 entirely different leagues, and everyone is on record saying this, and I'm just following what they say. And after seeing a lot of things transpire in the NFL with a lot of players. It is the truth, because in the NFL you are playing with men. You are not playing with boys. You are playing with grown men who are paid a lot of money to hurt you, to hit you and potentially hurt you. One hit in the NFL can end your career. And the one thing about Johnny Manziel, he's a reckless player. He is a playmaker, but he's small, and for a guy of his size, he's very reckless. And in the pros, you cannot do that because you're not going to last very long. And not only that, I'm already on record saying I do not trust his maturity. Right now, he is immature and he is also underdeveloped as a quarterback. He's got an okay arm. He's got an okay arm, but he came from a spread system. Now, you can say the same thing. Now, of course, these are similar things that were said about Case Keenum, and if you go look at an early episode that's on my Talkcast, excuse me. Someone wrote an article very accurately, I might add, comparing Case Keenum and Johnny Manziel. Their physical tools, their stats, the coaching, the system that they came from. And basically, and I went into details about the article and about the individual stats, in an earlier episode. But think about this, though. Just consider this. They're almost the same height. They got about the same kind of arm. But they're saying Johnny Manziel should be the top pick of the draft, and Case Keenum was never drafted, went undrafted. Someone explain that to me. They came from similar systems. Actually, not similar. The same offensive system, same head coach. Similar stats if you look at him. Now, consider Case Keenum played 5 years in college. He was in college for 6 years. He started for 5. Johnny Manziel's only had 2 years. Now, consider Case Keenum's the NCAA's all-time leading passer, and you can debate me all you want about the kind of competition. Well, guess what? Case Keenum has had his share of competition as well. He's played a couple SEC opponents as well, and a lot of tough competition in postseason games as well. I mean, one of his toughest games, just to go off on a little tangent, if I can. One of his worst games was against the #1 pass defense in college football, and that was against Air Force in that Armed Forces Bowl. I'm sure that's something that he hasn't forgotten. But I was there. I was there when he clearly struggled in that kind of weather and against that kind of defense. He struggled. Johnny Manziel, he's had his struggles too. Now, whether it's tougher competition or not, we can debate that all you want. But the point is, it's somewhat similar. Somewhat. I'm not saying I'm not saying that the conferences are equal. No. Absolutely not. Conference USA and SEC are in completely different stratospheres. The point is, Case Keenum has won games against tougher competition. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Mississippi State. And then in his final game, he played Penn State, when they were supposedly one of the best defenses against the pass. And he just threw the heck out of the football. Most of the plays in that Ticket City Bowl were mainly passes. If you think about it, if you watch that game carefully, and I was at that game too. But anyway, I digress from that. It's still early, I understand, and this is only the first mock draft. We have yet to see what transpires between now, the combine, the pro days, the workouts, the private workouts. till draft day. So we'll see. We will see. But going back to this article here, looking back at this article about Bill O'Brien and what he's talking about the different quarterbacks, it seems to me that the guy that he really favors is Blake Bortles. You know, he's tall, he's an accurate passer, he's a dual threat, and not only that, you know, he played against Penn State, so he already has a very good idea what Blake Bortles can do. You know, because he had to study him on film before playing him. So he's a lot more familiar with Blake Bortles at this point. Now, it's still early, and this was all talked about yesterday. So we'll see what happens during the evaluation process. You know, we're still evaluating the team. We still got to deal with we still got to deal with, you know, filling up the staff. You know, what free agents are we going to keep and let go? You know, this is no matter how much you want to say about this team, we are losing some. We might be losing some key pieces. Some of these guys we can't afford to let go. But then again, we might be able to replenish them. But then again, with the cap space that we have, and I've yet to go look at that. As soon as I know more about that situation, I'll be sure to give you guys my opinion about what we can do and what we possibly can do. But looking at the quarterbacks, looking at this, you know, I would not be surprised, quite honestly, I would not be surprised at all if the Houston Texans, who now have the first overall pick for the third time in their short history, would repeat the 2006 draft, where we passed over Reggie Bush and took Mario Williams. And which goes on to my next topic. You know, the last time the Houston Texans had the number 1 overall pick, we took Mario Williams. You know, for a while that worked out pretty good. And the GM at the time said, you know what? We're more focused on building a good defensive squad first before offense. It had some truth to that. You know, we had to get a pass rusher because at the time we had to deal with Peyton Manning. We had to find someone that could sack Peyton Manning and possibly create opportunities for the offense that was putting up numbers, not wins but numbers at the time. And Bob McNair went on record yesterday saying that he really likes Jadeveon Clowney. He really thinks that our own J.J. Watt could be a mentor for him. You know, it's like I said, I would not be surprised at all if we took Jadeveon Clowney first overall. If we kept the first pick in the draft, I would not be surprised at all if we decided to go defense. If we decided to go specifically Jadeveon Clowney. You know, one can only imagine the kind of front line we would have on the front line. We would have, you know, what opposing quarterbacks would be looking at the line of scrimmage. Having J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless, you know, all these different pass rushers that we got, you know, one can only imagine. And you know, with Romeo Cornell as the defensive coordinator, you know, who knows? We're probably gonna have to change the scheme a little bit and seeing how Wade Phillips' system was to Romeo Cornell's system, and I'll get into that on another episode. But just picturing those two on the same defensive line, one can only, and with J.J. Watt mentoring Jadeveon Clowney and helping him train, helping him work out, and, you know, getting himself right, helping him get right for the NFL, one can only imagine. I honestly have more faith in Jadeveon than I do Johnny Manziel. And plus, there have been a lot of, speaking of Johnny Manziel, just really quickly, there have been a lot of rumors I have heard that the Cleveland Browns are very interested in Johnny Manziel. Heck, not only that, I even heard speculation that Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, would consider getting Johnny Manziel. Now, like I said, I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard anything about that. But, you know, from an outsider's perspective, all I got to say is Jerry Jones looks like the kind of guy who might want to take Johnny Manziel, even though they signed Tony Romo to an extended deal that's guaranteed $55 million. Now that would be a dumb move, in my opinion. Especially after paying Tony Romo, giving Tony Romo a contract, $100 million contract, and then turning around and drafting Johnny Manziel. I really can't see that. If I was the owner, I would not do that. I will not do that. But it's just a rumor that I heard, you know, from a fellow Cowboy fan that reached out to me, basically saying all that. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. From all I hear, it's just a rumor. But same with the rumors about the Cleveland Browns. Now, it's still early. They need a quarterback too. You know, there are a lot of different teams that need a quarterback. And because of the need at quarterback, my suspicion is these quarterbacks like Blake Bortles, Teddy Bridgewater, Johnny Manziel, Derek Carr, all these guys are going to be taken higher than what they're worth. That's my opinion. That's my opinion strictly because of the need. Strictly because of the need of the quarterback position that a lot of teams have at the moment. That's what I think is going to happen. But I cannot see Bob McNair and Rick Smith and Bill O'Brien take a quarterback with the first pick. I really don't think any of these quarterback prospects are worth the first pick in the draft. That's my opinion. And that's what I firmly believe. I firmly believe it with everything that I have seen from them, have studied from them, and have seen from history, and have studied from history. You know, we passed up Reggie Bush, and also consider this. We also passed up Vince Young. We could have taken Vince Young. He could have come to Houston, but no, we went with Mario Williams. You know, and Vince Young went to Tennessee, and we all know what happened there. But the point is, I would not be surprised if we repeated history again, if we kept the first pick. Now, Bob McNair has also been on record saying he would not be surprised if we passed up on the first pick, if we traded the first pick. Now, it's still early. We're still in evaluation. I'm going to keep saying it. And we'll see what happens. At the same time, though, let's keep our eyes open because it's a long process, and we still have a ways to go before even the combine. You know, not the Super Bowls. We're now coming up on the AFC and NFC conference championships. We're not even at the Super Bowl Super Bowl week hasn't even arrived yet. We still don't know what two teams are playing for the Super Bowl. You know, and we still got to fill up our staff. We still got to evaluate this team, and who knows what's to come for the free agents that we have to consider. And I'll get to that in a bit once I know more information about those guys. But there's going to be a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different things that are going to be coming out. You know, we got the Senior Bowl coming up soon. We got all these different events that the East-West Shrine Game, which Romeo Cornell will be coaching, by the way. And once he's done with that, he's going to start his duties as the defensive coordinator at Houston. So we'll see. we'll see what happens moving forward. As I wrap this up, all I gotta say is, I would not take Johnny Manziel number 1 overall. That's my opinion. He's not worth it. He is not worth the number 1 pick in the draft. No one is. The only guy that's close to me is Jadeveon Clowney. He's the one guy I would say take a chance. If I were the Texans and if I had the number 1 pick and I kept it and I decided to keep it, I would say take a chance on Jadeveon Clowney. That is me. And we'll see what Romeo Cornell thinks. But Bob McNair is already on record saying he could be something. Again, we got a ways to go before May hits. And you can bet I'm going to be back here again providing you guys as much information as I can on the Texans situation as we move closer to the draft, the off-season, then eventually preseason, and then 2014 regular season. So, as I wrap this up, again, if you guys want me to talk about anything, feel free to reach out to me, leave in the comment section. Subscribe and like this video for more if you want to see more. If you want something you want me to talk about, feel free to hit me up. I will take anything. I will read your comments. I will read your emails, your posts. And you can catch my talkcast on the link that I'll provide in the description below this video. This has been an episode of Bulls on Parade Talk. I'm your host, Joshua Signs, signing off.